You're on. Hey, welcome back to the Timothy Weichselbaum Show. My name is Timothy Weichselbaum, the first of many to come out of Wedlock. Sorry, I misspoke. I'm the first of many to come. I was born within wedlock, but I'm saying I meant to say that the ones to come after me are going to be born out of wedlock. Okay, sorry. Okay, so now that we got that fact out of the gate, out of the clear. Okay, so now that we got that trembly, unconfident. Why isn't that a word? Why isn't there a word for not confident? Inconfident. Either you're overconfident or you're underconfident. There's no such thing as unconfident. There's no such thing as the opposite of confident. There's words that line up with that, like let's say you needed a perfect opposite of an antonym of confidence. It would be nervous, right? It'd be nervous, or one of those other words, anxious. Same thing. So confidence, you could be anxious and confident, though. You could be anxious and confident, you know? You could be anxious to make for a stoplight to turn green so you could get to where you're going, but you're still confident. You're still confident. You're just anxious because the stoplight isn't turning green. Is there something wrong? Is the sensor not working? So you move up a few inches. Maybe it sees you now. Maybe the sensor sees that there's a car there now. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so let's get started. So welcome to the show. My name is Timothy Weichselbaum the first. I just felt like I had to keep saying so. I had to keep adding on to the name. Because Timothy Weichselbaum, 6 syllables, it's not enough. So Timothy, I'm not going to say my middle name because then you could just... You'll know which one I am. There's only 2 Tim Weichselbaums. I don't know if they go by Timothy even, but I am not going to even say what my legal name is. Let's just say, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to give you false information. So let's just say that my legal name is one of the variations of Timothy, but I'm not going to say which one it is. It could be Tim. It could be Timmy. It could be Timo. It could be Little Tim. But I'm not going to tell you which one it is. So now that we got that out of the way, let's go to actually try to remember where I was going with this. Now that we got the preamble out of the way, let's see if we could remember the point of the preamble. Nope, I don't remember. Oh, yeah. So there's only a couple Tim Weichselbaums in the world. There's a couple other that are in the category. They're similar. They have similar combinations of like Tim Weichselbaumer or Tim Weichselbloom. There's a couple Tim Weichselsteins. There's a few Tim Steinselbaums. But there's only 2, last time I checked, of people that have the same legal name as me. So I don't really want to say what my middle name is. But, so I like having a long name because then it's like, okay, people, it's not that I like it at all. It's just that I like to sing. And if you have more to sing, then you can keep doing it. So I just wanted to be like, my name is Timothy. Welcome to the... I needed more to fill the script of the intro, which wasn't even a song. But you don't know this, but I'll tell you a little tip about science. A little tip about science. I'm looking at myself in the monitor to double check to make sure that what I'm doing looks really stupid. And it turns out that it does. It looks stupid enough to convey what I'm about to tell you about science. Actually, the brain, it doesn't really discern between singing and something close to singing, but not quite. It's pretty much singing if it's an elongation of syllables involving coordinated pitch and rhythm. That your brain doesn't really care what genre of music it's music. It's music if you're doing la 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 la. Like if there's a plan to the pitch and the timing and the intonation, just another word for pitch, just the way you move the pitch up and down, that's singing. So your brain doesn't know the difference between happy birthday to and welcome to the 9 p.m. news. Like that's the same it's the same thing. It's just a different song. Blah, 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 blah. It's a boring song. Happy birthday is way better, but welcome to the news is still a song. See, that's music. It's not good. It's linguistic music. It's kind of like Morse code, but it's still musical because you're getting data from it. The lack of modulation is a form of data. That lack of modulation. That's still there's a reason that they're doing that, and that's still musical. It's the same pitch every time, but that's still a specific note. It's still a specific element from music. Not from linguistics, from music. Linguistics is a made-up thing. Linguistics is just what we call one of the little slices of the whole array of meaning-making of the human experience. The whole human experience is comprised. No, it's composed. Oh, sorry, I didn't want to get that word. It's composed of linguistic experiences. We just don't call them that because they might involve different kinds of sensory input that we don't consider linguistic because it's not high level. It's not as abstract enough. But that's arbitrary, right? That's arbitrary. Where do we draw the line between abstract and real life sensory information? There's zero difference. It's just a gradation of where you draw. It's just arbitrary. Okay, we could draw the line here. This is where real starts, and this is where abstraction begins. Real starts at the essence of between sight and when it enters your brain, it gets spun. It enters as real data, but then the brain, it does something to make it more fun for you, just for you. That's subjective. Yeah, it's subjective all the way around. It's subjective at any level. It's subjective to just receive a photon and, okay, what are you doing with that photon? Usually there's a predictable way that a quantum system absorbs a photon, and we're a very complicated system that's classical, but it has to start somewhere at the quantum. So what are we doing differently with that photon than other systems? Well, something, right? So everything's subjective. Even photons themselves are subjective because we don't know what they are. They are just mathematical, one-dimensional things that you could measure in different amplitudes, in different points in time, space and time. In space-time, same thing. We don't know what that is either. We don't even know what time is. Time is just the difference between two states of a system. Okay, something changed. Well, what changed? I don't know. Something's different about it, so time must have gone by. This much time must have gone by based on this much of stuff that happened. This many events took place, and every time this event happens, it corresponds with this other event, and that's how we measure. It's relative to everything else. Everything's relative. And now we're getting into finishing just a very short. Forget about what philosophy says about reality. I'm sure there's many books and very well thought out philosophies about what could be happening. Well, we don't need to study all of them. There's only a few that we need to really concern ourselves with, because we are pretty good at measuring stuff to the point where we've answered a lot of philosophical questions. It's no longer up in the air. Certain things are no longer up in the air. Like if material reality is separate from non-material reality, yeah, we know that there's no hard line in the sand. That's been settled, right? We just can't see it. So since there's no empirical proof yet, we can't. Some people struggle to accept these things because there's no empirical evidence like in front of their eyes. But you could do it in your head. You could get to truth just by solving these puzzles empirically in your head, just with logic, because you don't need to go anywhere. You can just do it in your head. You can just be like, okay, well, there's no way to solve this. You don't need to see anything. You could just experience it in your head. I guess that is a form of seeing. It's underneath the hood. It's still a form of vision of some kind, right? To solve problems in your head. You could do that. Like I did. You could do that with the thing I was just talking about. Mind versus matter. Where does material stuff like matter begin, and non-material object or ideas start? Where do those things start? Where's the boundary between idea and reality and something like a hard object, like a material object? You could solve that just by studying, just by thinking about it long enough. If you understand enough phenomena, you'll understand that none of them are self-contained. They all link to some other phenomena or substrate. They're all attached to some kind of substrate, whether that's a meadow in a field on Earth, or a field in a quantum field that just is everywhere that we can't see but we can detect. That's a substrate. There's nothing that escapes this linkage to some other object. Ideas are linked to physical objects. They're linked to some neuro substrate. Some neurons are literally physically moving to recognize whatever bullshit ideas you're thinking about. So ideas are physical. We just don't see them that way because they're happening in our heads, which is a space. It's literally a space. It has 3 dimensions, probably more than that, but it's confined to the same physical space that we're confined to. So ideas are happening in physical space. It's just a very abstract form. You can't point, like, that's the idea. It's like humans. You can't point to what a human is. You can say it's that person right there. Yeah, but is it their body that's the person? So you're saying it's just this collection of atoms? Well, no, it's also their mind, which you can't really measure. And it's also their personality, which is subjective. It's their relationships. That's what a person is. It's not just a collection of atoms. And so ideas are already covered by just talking about humans. We're talking about ideas being physical. And so I didn't really have to do any math. I didn't really have to look through any microscopes to get to this very confident conclusion, because we've never seen anything that is purely physical. For all we know, all that we have is ideas, which are just patterns that are recognizable and can be repeated. That's all anything is, whether it is physical or not, whether it is made out of atoms or not. I mean, what's the difference? What is physical? What is energy and matter and mass? Well, we don't even know what that is. So since we don't know what it even means for something to be physical, it's a non-issue. You can't answer something that you don't know the components of. You don't even understand the premise of what you're asking. Yeah, you could ask what it is. You can ask what energy is, and then you'll be shown a specific example of some type of energy, but that doesn't explain what all energy is. You can be shown examples until you understand the concept. That's how everything is. That's how you learn. Okay, enough science. None of that bullshit. I mean, it's not bullshit. It's everything I said is like pretty true. I'm sure there's something I said that could be better put, but who cares? I mean, the essence of it is like going to be true 1,000 years from now, unless the rules of reality changes. So I'm a polymath, which just means it's not an attractive thing to say, but it's not something I don't really like saying that. But I have to say I'm something, right? You have to introduce yourself as something in the world. Because I'm a person. I don't like labels, but I'm more of like a semantics guy. Everybody has their own preferences of, whatever floats your boat, For me, I'm not tied up with like words in the specifics of which word, or it's arbitrary. I'd be like, okay, we're going to apply this sound to this meaning. We're going to say that the word apple means this, okay? Yeah, I don't care about the word. I care about the thing it is. I care about the actual apple. The thing that you bite into, the semantics, the meaning of the word. That's how I've always kind of been. I've always been like, okay, but what does that mean? I get that he said something, but what does the words mean? I don't just, in words, yeah, sometimes they have a very black and white meaning. Okay. I'm not talking about that. They're used for thought. Okay, this is boring. So I actually do not want to talk about science, even though is this science? No, it's just logic. It's just reality. So is that science? No, I don't know what science really is. I don't think I'm doing science to just come up with a theory. No, this is just logic and truth about reality. I'm a truth bearer. It's another thing that doesn't sound good to say about yourself. Okay, let's just dumb it down. Let's just think of something. Not that I'm trying to be likable. I couldn't care less about likability for other people's point of view, but I kind of feel like there's a better way to do it, though, than to just call yourself names that don't mean much. Yeah, like truth bear. That doesn't mean nothing, man. Everybody calls themselves that. Like, there's so many phonies that call themselves psychic or clairvoyant or whatever, and it's legal. You could actually sell services as a fucking liar. You could just be a liar, yeah, legally. You could open up a business that says psychic readings. You could just lie to people. But this is like pure bullshit type of lying, like no basis in reality. It's not like being a therapist. That's a different thing. This is just pure lying. So I'm not a psychic or anything like a chart, like a hack liar. I like to kind of be honest and not just make up shit. I like to come up with shit, but not if it's bullshit. Like, I'll say something that I made up, but it has to be also true. That's the difference. Like, okay, did you make that up? Yeah, I made it up, but it's also true. Yeah, it's original, and I'm the one who came up with it. Does that mean it's bullshit? No. So, other people, I don't know. I just feel like if you're making shit up, at least check if it's true. So I do that. I make up shit, and then I go, okay, now that you made that up, Is it just a thought that's in your head, or does it actually align with reality? So that's what I like to do. It's one of my hobbies. Not saying I'm doing it as a profession. One of my hobbies is to find out things about reality and learn about it and tell people about it. If it's novel, if nobody else is, like if it's something you could just read. Even then, not everybody is able to find information these days. If you're a fan of what I do, chances are that some of what I'm saying will be relevant to you because I'm catering it to you. So this topic, I forgot. I don't know where I'm going. Oh yeah, it's like calling yourself these self-grandiose, self-gratifying labels. It's like totally not good for your. It doesn't matter to me. But you got to call yourself something, and you got to know your strengths and your weaknesses. You got to know where you belong so that if you are wanting to do something in life that is helpful to other people, then you'll know which jobs to apply for. I don't even know if jobs are hiring right now at the moment. Doesn't seem like the job market is really doing very good right now for a slew of reasons. First, nobody wants to work. And second, employers don't want to hire anybody because they suck. They're incompetent. They don't want to work. And three, there's AI. You just have AI. So I don't know what job I would be qualified for. I know. But anyway, being a polymath. Ugh. Yeah, like now that I'm in my mid-30s, I no longer think of myself as like a gifted young kid, you know? I don't really think of myself as like special or like a main character, you know? I used to because I was young. I was in my like in 2008, yeah, I kind of did feel like I was I felt like I was like the main character because, yeah, you are. If you're 18, if you're a young adult, you are the zeitgeist. That's your time to set the scene. But after that, you got to know when you're a background character. You're no longer the main character in your 30s. It's time to recognize that you are a part of the scenery. That doesn't make you any less of a person. You already were worthless. It's just now you're starting to recognize how worthless you actually were that whole time. So I don't really need to give myself these labels of who gives a crap? You have to recognize that even if you are gifted, there's going to be other people that outperform you. And you have to recognize that you're not the only person in the world. I don't know. Not yet now. I feel like this used to be a normal thing to do. It used to be normal to think that you're just part of society. You're not the only thing that matters. That's crazy to think. That's like something that a deranged narcissist thinks. What movie was I watching where somebody got diagnosed as a narcissist, like a raging... What movie was this? Anyway, somebody got... Oh yeah, Me, Myself, and Irene. He got diagnosed as like some type of evil narcissist. Like a sociopathic narcissist of some kind. Anyway, it's actually not normal to think that the world is just something that's meant for you and that's it. like you're supposed to, like it used to be normal to just feel like you're part of like a society, like a component of a larger system. That's not really how it works anymore. So like if you want to feel valuable, the way to do that is not to look at the world for what it can give you. That is the opposite. It's to look at the world for what it lacks and to see how you could use your skills to make it better. Not the whole world. It's to help other people. If you do anything that adds value to other people's lives, you'll feel more valuable as a person. I don't know. It sounds kind of obvious. I don't know why I'm saying. Where am I going with this? So now that I'm in my mid-30s, I don't really look at the world as like this thing for me to just whack with a stick and get candy from. That's how I feel like a lot of older people are starting to feel who are way too old to be feeling this. Like they feel like they're just born in this kid zone, like Discovery Zone, whatever it's called, Mega World, where you just go on these plastic tubes and ball pits and climb these, I don't know what they're called, platforms. You jump into a ball pit. And you go to kids' parties and you do gymnastics and you go to summer camp and you break piñatas even though you're not Mexican. That was a thing. And we took that from Mexicans because why not? So piñatas. Everybody kind of looks at the world as like, yeah, give me some. I got my stick. I'm hitting the thing. Where's my candy? That's kind of how they think. Like they think it's just like, well, if you just whack something hard enough, candy comes out. If you just make a bunch of noise. So that's actually very the opposite of how the world works. Actually, somebody had to put work into that piñata. Like that was like a total sham. You're doing the easy part. All you're doing is the fun part. Somebody else had to assemble that thing and sell it, and they didn't get to break it, or they didn't get to hit it with a stick. You think that's fun? So, yeah, real easy. It's easy to just be the guy that just breaks open the piñata. How about you think about the guy who had to assemble the piñata? Yeah, and so that's it. A lot of people are going with sticks, thinking that that's all they got to do, just whack something. Okay, you get the gist. You get the point. It's the love you take is equal to the love you make. I mean, I know that that's like a hack. That's like a line from a Beatles song. But these guys were pretty successful in life. And that's how they knew this. Like, they were pretty successful guys. So I think you could kind of take their wisdom at face value a little bit. You'd be, okay, it's coming from the Beatles. What do they know? Oh, they're the most successful, their best band ever, according to anyone who's anybody. Okay. And okay, fine. They have some good songs. Fine. I guess I'll at least give this a thought. The love you take. Okay, fine. Seems like good advice. Yeah, it is. It's not advice. It's just true that there's a karmic balancing system. Duh. You've never felt poetic justice happen to you or another person. You've never experienced this. You've never experienced karma, even secondhand. Yeah, then you're 12. You just haven't lived long enough. Because every fucking loser goes through something shitty if they're like a genuine... I'm not saying loser in like the high school 80s bully sense of the word. I mean, if they are like a bad person, like usually people that are bad they have bad things happen to them. People that are good, it might not happen in their lifetime, but usually down the road, they get reincarnated as a rich kid. So there you go. So next time you see a rich, spoiled kid, just come on, think about it. Just stop being so quick to judge and prejudgmental, because you don't know what they did in their last life. They could have been working their ass off as a rice farmer for 45 years and then just got struck by lightning, and then that's it. Just toiling day in and day out with no lavishness whatsoever, nothing. They never had a cake. They don't even know. They never had sex even. They never got any press in their life. They never went viral on Instagram. And they just die. Yeah, they get reincarnated as Elon Musk's kid. You don't understand how that works? Now you're resentful of that kid? He's gonna pay his dues again? Are you fucking kidding me? He's gonna not pay his dues as a rich kid? Fucking idiots, dude. So anyway, I forgot what I started on. That I was ragging on people about. So I'll just move on to a completely different subject. So we're all the same if you could take away our personalities. Like if we could remove the thing that gets in the way of our consciousness, it's all stemming from the same place. Like we're all the same entity, just in different bodies. If you take enough LSD, this might dawn on you. Might not if you just don't have that type of brain. You'll just hallucinate. But for me, yeah, I had that realization when I took enough LSD. It was like a clear as day picture of like, yeah, you're just one of these holes. Your perception, your sense of being is just one hole in a tapestry of connected. It's like a beehive, and each honeycomb, whatever you call those fucking the whole is a life. But they're all connected. They're all the same when you zoom out. They're all connected from the same thing. You could look through different windows, but it's the same entity looking through each window. The separation is an illusion. So that's true, and that's been known for millennia. I mean, in other religions, it's just not known in. It got forgotten and mistranslated. It just didn't get fully communicated to Jesus. Jesus just didn't feel like he kept this. He didn't really want to tell people that, but it's true, and we know scientifically or logically. Okay, I don't know if this proves it outright that we're all the same entity. But here's something that kind of gets you halfway there. If I switch bodies with you, would you know it? No. Yeah, exactly. Like if you were in my head, all of a sudden, if we just switch bodies, zoop, zoop, would anything change? Would you feel like you're suddenly somewhere else? No, there is already a consciousness in here. All that happened was it just was exchanged for the same type of thing that was already there. We were already conscious. So what would change? Well, it got refilled with the same thing that was already there. All your thoughts would remain your thoughts. All my thoughts would remain my thoughts. You would be in my body, but you would have my thoughts. So how would you know that you're in my body? You'd be seeing through me, you'd be seeing through my eyes, but what makes you you then? If all your faculties are now my faculties, how does that make you a separate entity? Well, exactly. I know that the word salad that I just spewed out is going to be not cohesive to a lot of, I don't know how many people, maybe not most. It just wasn't fully explained enough to be dumbed down to some people. It's just like, what is he talking about? No, I would be a different person. Yeah, no, you wouldn't. I'm arguing with a person that doesn't even exist. But they do. There is such a person that just wouldn't get what I just said because it is very, like, it's not very popular. It hasn't been posted on Reddit 500,000 times as a TIL, or it hasn't been posted on some fucking Neil deGrasse Tyson podcast. So it's not mainstream, and therefore that means people would treat it as not good. They would just treat it as low quality. Well, I didn't read that on Nature. I didn't hear that from Neil deGrasse Tyson's podcast, so it must be bullshit. I didn't hear Sam Harris say anything about that. Well, then he's dumb. I mean, okay, then I'm smarter than somebody that's who cares? Not smart. Then I have something to say that is relevant. Great. That means I'm supposed to be popular. It's not how it works. Usually the people that are saying things for the first time are not the ones who become popular for it. The people that invented wokeness in 2015, they're not famous. They're just fucking random people who went to college in Chicago. They went to DePaul University. They're not famous for that. They were the first ones to cook up this hot new idea, which at the time was pretty good of an idea, to be like, hey, isn't there kind of a disparity here that's not being talked about? And they talked about it. We found out that there actually wasn't really, it was more nuanced than they thought. It wasn't just about black and white. It was about, other factors than just the tint of somebody's skin. Can you imagine? I mean, that's such a straw man argument to say that it's just because of the skin color. That kind of started in the 90s, I think. You say just because of my skin color, you're going to treat me No, we're not saying that. It's because your race. Your race, not your skin color. That's more than your skin color. If it was just your skin color, we would not be having this whole conversation. Race is clearly more than just the color of a fucking cell, like the color of your tissue, the amount of melanin. If it was just that, it'd be pretty arbitrary, right? It'd be a really dumb reason to set any boundaries. That guy's darker skin. Yeah, no, it's more than that. That if it was just that, I think we would have moved on from that. Color is very important, but it's not that important. We can look past it. Most people can look past just color. Color is important. Jesus Christ. So this is another reason why you don't hear much from people that are the first to come up with things. It's because it's not very popular to say what's true. The reason the woke thing became huge is because, as it turns out, it's not true. It just sounds good. It sounds good at least it sounds like compelling and theatrical. I don't know if it sounds good, but it certainly raises eyebrows if you do make a claim that extreme. It's not, if you just make up shit that has to do with somebody's skin color, yeah, that's gonna be more popular than something that's true and not exciting, that you can't do anything about. So the truth, yeah, that's something you could do something about. If the police actually are way more race, if they actually are profiling unfairly based on race, that would be something we could do something about. In reality, it's just not the case, so there's nothing to do anything about. Therefore, you don't see a lot of people marching over the crime because there isn't really an easy thing you can do about it. It's real. If there was, we would be. The reality is much more resistant to fake, phony bullshit. You can't just make up shit and expect reality to reflect. But if you are good at reflecting reality, you're not going to be very popular. Like, if you'll get a following after a certain point, you can grow a following doing this. It's just not a big following. You'll get shot. I mean, you're just not a big following. Anyway, you'll get shot. Anyway, so if you dumb down, if you reject nature, that comes with losing intelligence in other ways. I guess I'm dancing around the subject of what I already started on race. I don't need to talk about that. We already talked about that. That's one of the subjects, though. We need to talk about the actual content of it. It's really plain as day. That it's a real thing. It's not just like some made-up thing in the 90s. That was bullshit. Like, yeah, let's just say it's a made-up thing. That it's just skin color. So we know it's not just that. We know it's not skin color. It's a biological, genetic thing that carries over to psychology and behavior. And it's deep-rooted and takes thousands of years to manifest. So it's not just, you could say that's social. Yeah, okay. Social distancing plus thousands of years of evolution. Yeah, sure, that's a social construct. So since we know that that's bullshit, we don't have to get more into that. But the topic itself, just by being brave enough to venture into it unbiasedly, yeah, that already separates you from most of academia. So it's no surprise that a lot of academics are on 4chan, are moderators on 4chan. It makes sense. If you're into education and learning about reality, yes, you are going to learn some things that are not very politically correct. But that doesn't change one iota as far as whether they're true. Just not liking the fact does not change whether it's true or not. It takes thousands of years to change things about nature, and sometimes even more, sometimes even longer than 1,000 years. I don't know how long it took for the races to emerge. I'm not a racial scientist. They banned that kind of science, scientific racism. That's like canceled as a scientific. They canceled that entire branch of science, and it was a legitimate branch. You can't just say there's no legitimacy in studying race from a scientific standpoint, because we know that there are genetic fucking things about it. It's scientific. So to say that the whole field is just banned and invalid or pseudoscience is racist. I don't know. You have to call it something. It's bigoted. It's anti-science. Yet it's being done by so-called scientists. So where does that leave you if you're just a curious person who wants to know how reality... Forget about labels. I'm a polymath, and that means nothing. That's a meaningless label. But as a polymath, one of the things that comes with is wanting to know how things actually work. And that makes me kind of understand so-called science. Like, if I read like a scientific paper, I'll understand it. Does that make me a scientist? No. I just know how to consume the information produced by scientists. Okay. So I understand if some of it's bullshit, is what I'm saying. You don't have to be a scientist to know when something is bullshit that comes from so-called scientists. That's the conundrum. It's like, well, he says he's a scientist. It's like, yeah, that's a word. You have to look at the actual data that they're producing, the processes they're going through, the mechanisms. I don't know. That takes work. It takes other scientists to validate science. That's the whole point, is that you need peer review. So you should always be a little skeptical of science. But when you figure out that certain things are just empirically true from the data, yeah, you should probably like start to absorb it a little, take it as granted if it works more often than not, because then you could build upon it. And then, that could lead to, things that people don't want to see happen again. That's what the Nazis did with racial science, or whatever it's called. Scientific racism. They built upon the data. But it wasn't peer-reviewed enough. Gotta keep peer-reviewing it. And even so, that's still it's not scientific, it's political. Political science. Yeah, every group of people is gonna have their own opinions on what is supposedly politically correct. So just because you have a degree in political science doesn't make you any more objective at politics. It just should make you understand politics as what it is. The concept of politics. There's no science to it, is there? It's social. Politics is just a form of socialization. No. It's a form of socializing. It's a form of communication. What are we doing? My hair in my mouth. Shit, man. Alright, that's enough about bullshit science shit. So you could talk like this and be smart as a whip. Don't be fooled by appearances. Like, you know how there's like people on YouTube who want to appear as if they're in like the science niche? Like they always have like a bookshelf behind them with a bunch of books that actually look like smart people books. Like you won't see one that just looks like, oh, they read that book. I read that book. No, they're usually just books that only smart people read because they want to show that they're fucking qualified to talk about smart people shit. Yeah, that's bullshit. You should look through that. You should be able to look through that. Like me, you should be able to look past the fact that I'm talking like somebody off the street or whatever. I don't sound like anybody off the street. Nobody talks like this. Nobody has this accent. This is not an authentic accent that people have. But anyway, the point is, you should be able to look past all the cursing and I don't know, just the flippant way I'm doing this and focus on the content, because reality doesn't care about lab coats. Like atoms don't care about who's like what the person is wearing. You know, you could be the smartest person on a subject and I don't know, and not look like it. But that's becoming very common. On Joe Rogan, he'll have like these scientists that have like tattoos and shit, and they have like these huge biker beards, and like they claim to be, and they're scientists. Like I'm a biologist, and they're like fucking jacked up on testosterone. Yeah, I'm a biologist. Let me tell you about monarch butterflies and how they migrate. He has like these scientists on there that are like this. And that's great. We need more eclectic scientists that are not afraid to go into science just because they have non-typical ways of thinking or presenting themselves. The weirder you are, probably the more interesting things you're going to come up with, actually. If you're a left-brain thinker, you can't really create new things. You just have to go by what's already out there. That's what AI is. AI is just left brain, zero creativity. But what does that mean? Because, I mean, what does that mean? It could combine words to create novel combinations of words. But, okay, now getting into some. I don't want to get into this subjects it just boring. Too boring. I already talked about semantics and words and how the definitions of words matter way more than the words. I mean, Jesus Christ. I thought this was going to be a funny episode. I thought I was in like a funny mood. But I'm more in like of a pissed off. Y'all are like, I'm in a pissed off, you don't deserve me kind of mood. But y'all, yeah, I'm not, I mean, I'm trying. I'm trying to be chipper. Okay, so let's do a job update on my life. I've been talking about this polymath thing, about how so what does that mean? It's very exhausting. And I'm not even kidding. It's very exhausting to be a polymath because you're good at everything. Is that a humble brag? Yes. But now that I called myself out, it's even worse that I called myself. I don't care how bad it looks. So what it means you're good at everything. And okay, that sounds great, right? Yeah, no. It's not great to be good at everything because then you don't know what to do. Because then you can be doing anything all day. You could be doing voiceover work, or you could be writing a movie script, or you could be animating that movie, or you could be programming a video game, or you could be designing the cover for a video game, or you could be writing an album. Or you could be building a rocket model. You could be designing rockets. You could be doing math. Or you could be teaching math. Or you could be teaching any skill. Because you're also a good teacher probably if you're a polymath. Because you're good at everything. You could do anything is the point. Not everything very well. There's really not that many things that I can't do. I don't want to do a lot of them, like sports. I don't want to play sports. Nobody's invited me to play sports. Otherwise, I would. I'm not good at sports. So anyway, it's the stuff that takes like brains that I'm talking about, like brawn. Yeah. So anyway, anything that takes brains, I could do. So it's like, okay, so that leaves about 24 hours per day, which means you have how much activities. So you have to, can you pick just one? No. The reason I'm a polymath is because I don't want to just do one thing my whole life. That would be cool, I guess. Actually, it sounds pretty boring to just be a one-trick pony. Like, yeah, I can't even think of an example. What's an example of like a profession? I don't know, like programmer. Yeah, I'm just a programmer. That's all I do. I just code all day. Okay, yeah, great. I'm sure you make a lot of money. I would kill myself if that's all I did all day, but okay. Yeah, I can do that, but is that all I want to do? Hell no. I don't even envy the people that are doing that all day, even if they are making $1 million a year. I mean, yeah, that's not something I am envious of. I'm a polymath. We could do whatever we want and make the same amount of money and make tons of money while doing it if we're good at it. So the problem is there's no time. And you're burnt out all the time because you're just burnt out by all the possibilities and all the thought experiments going through your head. because you're like a chameleon. There's no subject that you can't think about. Any topic under the sun, you could think about. So it's exhausting. Nobody likes you if you're a polymath because you're just always showing them up. Nobody wants to be around a polymath who just always knows more about their own fucking profession than they do. I mean, this is not always the case. It's not that you know more than them. That's not the case. You just know a little bit about their profession. And that's enough for them to get threatened by you. Like, even if it's something that isn't negative, even like you could be an accountant or something, and just by knowing a little bit about accounting, they feel like, oh, great, this guy feels like he's better than me, and they don't want to be around you now because all you did was show that you had a little bit of knowledge about something that they also know about. That's all it takes to kind of alienate yourself, because nobody likes a know-it-all, and that's, you know, there are such a things as know-it-alls in the world, and what are they supposed to do about just kill themselves? No, I'm not saying that. No, they should join a club. Join a know-it-all club, and they can all just know it all together. Just jerk off to each other's knowledge. One-up each other. You know? But that's not what I'm doing. I'm not trying to one-up people. If they try to one-up me, then I probably will. If they challenge me, then I will, without even voluntarily trying, I will get revenge on proving that they're wrong. Like, if somebody challenges me on my knowledge on any topic, I will possibly be wrong. Usually not. Usually they think that I'm talking out of my ass, and then they find out that I'm actually somebody that knows how to use their brain. And I actually know how to look shit up. And that's threatening to them. So as a you don't really know what to do with your life. What do I do with it? Every day could be like that. If you don't currently have a project, even if you do. I have many projects going on right now. Do I know which one to work on every day? Hell no. I know which ones I probably should be working on, but do I want to actually dive into the complex headache-inducing problems that they... Yeah, that's why that's why I moved out. That's why I switched projects, man. Because as a polymath, I could always move on to a new project. But when it comes to finishing a project that's like hard, yeah, that doesn't mean that's going to happen just because I'm a polymath. Why the hell would I want to do that? Finish a project? I came up with it. Is that enough? It's like, isn't coming up with the idea enough to get some credit? Yeah, apparently Winklevoss twins got paid a shitload of money for inventing Facebook. Fuck Zuckerberg. He can't just steal someone's idea. You can't just do that. Yeah, having an idea is really valuable if it's a good idea. I should have said good idea, not just in any idea. If you have a good idea, yeah, that's valuable already. You could relax. I came up with good ideas, and I don't really ever like sit down on my laurels and rest because nobody is using them. Nobody's paying me for them. Nobody knows or cares yet, so I have to also flesh them out. Pain in the ass. And then when I finally do that, then if it's a good idea, people will copy it. Then all of a sudden, they'll shell out the elbow grease like, whoa, that's a good idea. And they'll just copy it because they're unoriginal hacks. Yeah, I'm talking like I've been through this before because I have. I have been through this before. Being a fucking $1 million app that had millions of users. And of course it got stole. It got copied, not stolen. Who cares? It didn't really get... Yeah, they copied the idea. I don't care. That's like a compliment. If someone steals your idea, that's like a compliment, right? Imitation is the greatest form of whatever their compliment is, like the greatest compliment. So I don't care. And they sucked at it. They didn't even they didn't even do a good job at competing with me. There's this one, I'm calling him out. I'm calling him out. He's not going to see this. Some guy stole my app idea, made a shittier... Man, am I mean when I don't smoke weed. Okay, I'm going to take a hit of weed. I think my thing is still... It might be turned off. Well. Okay, so this is how I get when I don't smoke hash oil all day. From the second I wake up till the second I go to bed, I just kind of become a little bit of a prick. Just a little bit of a fucking prick. So anyway, right back to talking shit about this guy that stole my business idea and failed at it. I was successful. Why am I bitter? I won. And I'm still talking shit. It's like Trump. It's like he's already a billionaire and he's like talking shit about Rosie O'Donnell. Yeah, that's how I am. Hey, I worked out for him, 2-time president. Hey, maybe he's a good role model after all. But anyway, so this guy stole my business plan, made a shitty... It's just so insulting to him to say this. It's like not only calling him out for stealing the idea, but he did a shitty job at doing that. He wasn't original and he wasn't competent because he told me that he got hacked. He asked me questions all the time about like how to run the business. How do you do this? Like, I just do. This is how. He's like, oh, I don't know how do you do that. Okay. So he wasn't as good at programming and he got hacked and whatever. I was better than him in every way at the business. And I was also the one who came up with the business. So it's like, okay, makes sense. That checks out. Not really. I mean, sometimes you might come up with a good idea. Doesn't mean you're going to be good at also putting it into practice. That's the mark of a true entrepreneur. If you could come up with a good idea and also put it into practice better than anyone else, then you're a good entrepreneur. And I had a really good relationship with a lot of my customers, and I built trust with them over the course of years because they were people online that didn't trust me at first because I was just some random person online. They trusted me with tens of thousands of dollars, and it was $1 million business, and not much more than that. It wasn't like a $10 million. But it sounds good enough. Just, hey, it was a $1 million business, and I closed it. It actually went up to 5. Okay, I guess I'm telling you. I guess I'm saying how much money I made. It was at one point more than that, but then it went down. It could have been more. It was technically a $5 million business at one point. So it's like, that's not bad for one person to do all on their own. So anyway, I closed it because okay, that's it. I was just doing this for the money. I wasn't doing this for fun. So I closed it. It wasn't fun. It was stressful to run that thing. And so I closed it. I didn't get the full 5 mil. I never did. Went down. I lost more than I made. So yeah, I lost $4 million. Paper loss. But it was a paper. So I gained that and I lost it like overnight, like in the course of a week. I went from not any millions to 5 million to, I don't know, 1. So yeah, okay, 1 million, that's still a lot of money. But if you go from 5 to 1, you're going to feel that. You're going to feel it. So, I still feel pretty good. Because that still is a lot of money, and if you're good at investing, it'll probably snowball. And if you're good at personal finance, which I am getting better at, if you don't buy cars every 2 months, like new cars, yeah, you're probably gonna be able to actually snowball that money, and you won't ever have to work again, dude. So that's kind of what I realized very quickly. The kind of like the second it happens, like, oh wait, I'm a millionaire all of a sudden. Oh, I don't have to work ever again. So that's kind of what I did, and I kind of just walked into the sunset, and this is what it looks like on the other side of the sunset. Just kind of do this. But that's a past project, and I'm not sad. I'm not rich. This is like, I'm not even really like, I'm like upper middle class. So, and who cares what your class is? There's more to life than just how comfortable you are. You shouldn't be comfortable. And so I'm still hungry for some kind of success, but it's not just monetary. That kind of feels like, that's easy. Not easy, but that's like something I'll always be kind of good at. The thing that's now more challenging and interesting to me is science. Something that's helpful to other people. And not just something shallow, like to just help them with something like shallow. Like, here's like a way to get rich. Here's how I did it. And I'm going to teach you how to also get rich using my method, which won't work for you because it worked for me, and everyone's different. Man, do I hate those people. You buy my course, you buy my mentorship program for $40,000 a month, and I'll teach you how I make $5,000 a month. Man, do I hate that. But you do have to monetize your business model if you are a guru, if you want. So anyway, I don't give a shit about that. It's my money. I'm keeping it for myself. I'm not teaching you how I made it so you could make it yourself. It was mine. I'm not a guru. I'm not like an investment guru. Fuck you. It's my money. I had to work my ass off for that shit, and it was not easy. I'm not going to pretend it was fucking easy. Just say, oh yeah, anybody could just get rich. Fuck that. Fuck you if you think it's fucking easy. It's my fucking money. Fucking self-help gurus. Yeah, anybody can get rich if they just follow my program. Fuck you, man. I had to work my dick off to get even kind of well off. And that's fucking... I don't think anybody could do this. So yeah, I'm going to fucking hold on to that with every inch of my life. As if it's very hard. Not easy. I have a lot of pride in the fact that it was actually not easy. So anyway, but it's easy to stay well off if you have discipline and if you just are good at it. It's just a skill of like, do you want the car or do you want the financial security? The financial security just becomes more valuable. And that's it. If you value that more than the stupid car, you'll stay rich forever until your kids take it from you. And then they have to learn how to not spend it all. Good luck to them. If you're the guy who gets rich, you're probably going to be a lot better at learning how to deal with when you lose the money. And I have a lot of losing money ahead of me. I'm probably going to lose millions again. If we've done that, I'm probably going to lose more. Millions on dumb things. But hopefully I'm making more than I'm losing in the long term. That's all that matters, right? You win some, you lose less than you lose. In the long term, hopefully, or else you're a loser. By definition, if you lose more than you win, by definition, you're a loser. And to go back to the earlier part of the episode where I said loser, I'm not using that in the pejorative sense of the word that's used by like 80s bullies, like, you're a lahoo, desire. And you're like, didn't get invited to prom or whatever bullshit. Like, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like being a bad person. Just like incompetent, bad at life. That kind of loser. Like, on average, this person loses more than they win. Does that correlate with morality or competence and intelligence? It correlates with, I would think, a mix of all of them, but I think morality as well. What is morality? Morality is just a form of intelligence, though. So you could say it all comes down to intelligence, which is just another term for competence. Competence is just another term for a certain type of applied intelligence in a certain situation. To be specific, it's not just the same thing. It has a different meaning. It's a certain type of intelligence applied to a specific context. I don't like how I've become like some asshole who thinks they know things. Well, can I just go back to being like pretend dumb? I'm going to do that. I'm going to go back to being pretend dumb, which is what all comedians do who want to actually have a career. They pretend to be dumb. They don't just go to the audience and do what I would like to see. See, I like when comedians are real. I like when they actually do say that they're smarter than they are. I like when they call the audience out for being dumb. I don't give a fuck about pleasing people. If I'm on stage, the reason I'm there is for me to get something out of it. I'm not doing it for you. That's why I quit comedy. It's probably part of it. It's because I was kind of just doing it for my own entertainment. No, I want to make fun of how dumb this fucking person is. I'm not trying to make you guys make fun of me. You guys are not laughing at my expense here tonight. No. Unless I allow you to. You guys are the dumb fucking sheep that I'm finger puppeting into the finish line, and then you'll laugh when I say to laugh. And whenever I start talking again, then you shut the fuck up. It's about control. It's about having control, full control over the room and every variable in the room. Why is that guy talking? So that's what stand-up, that's the only reason I did stand-up is for that reason, so you could control people. Yo, why is that guy talking? That's it. It wasn't for the jokes. It was for the moments in between where it's like, what the fuck? Why are you walking there? See, even that could get a big laugh. Okay, but I don't do comedy anymore because there's no open mics here. And I wasn't in the mood to do shows. Because you have to be good. You have to be... I wasn't a good... I just went up there and was like, yo, I'm smarter than this whole fucking... And that's like Anthony Jeselnik. He made that his career. He made that his voice. Yeah, I'm not doing that. That's just kind of... I'm literally doing that. It's not a joke. I literally walk around in real life thinking I'm smarter than most people. I'm not going to change that just for a performance. If anything, I'm going to heighten it and turn it up to 10. Go, whoa, you guys finally get to hear the truth for a change. That's like the first thing I say. Just the second I get on stage. Well, you guys finally get to hear the truth for a change. See, that's the confidence that it takes to actually do stand-up. You need to be confident. Not smoke a bunch of weed before your set, then you're too fucking self-conscious. You need to be confident. So anyway, I don't do stand-up because I only was confident. There's no material underlying the confidence. There was no content. It was just like, whoa, this guy's a fucking narcissist. How is this guy? How did he make this his thing? It's impressive that he made just showing off be funny, like be entertaining, but there's no jokes. Like there's no repeatable jokes. It's just every time it's different. Every time I went on stage, I would just get through it, improvise, sometimes do jokes. Yeah, like sometimes I'll go, okay, here's a joke I wrote today. So it's pure improvising. Some people can do that. They're called schizophrenics. Now, even schizophrenics can't do that. I've met a couple. They are not creative necessarily. Just because you have schizophrenia doesn't make you interesting. Isn't that funny? Isn't that weird? Yeah, it makes you clinically interesting if you're studying schizophrenia, but to the average person, yeah, no, it does not mean you're interesting. It means you're just crazy. You just have delusions. And probably don't know how to socialize very well as a result. I know how to socialize, I just disagree with the methodologies absorbed by the culture. We talked about this on a previous episode, and like all of them. I don't do handshakes. We already talked about that. I don't do handshakes. If someone extend their hand, puts me in a tough spot because, how rude do you want us to be like, sometimes you just have to be like, fuck, you just have to grit your teeth and do it, man. Because sometimes it's just not worth being a dick. The smartest people can get themselves in trouble by just using the one part of their brain, but not the part that is weak. That's a problem with certain modalities of intelligence. If you're a polymath, like me, the person producing this fucking show, who's talking to your eardrums, you kind of know everything about what you did wrong. And like, you have social intelligence to some degree. Like, you could tell when something went not in your favor. You're not autistic. Like, you could tell when something is not working out socially. You could get social cues. Doesn't mean you follow them, but you can still pick up on them. There's a difference between not picking up on social cues and just kind of ignoring them. See, that doesn't mean you're missing them. It just means, I'm not playing the game. I just don't acknowledge that those are legitimate social cues. I don't give a fuck. Just kind of override them. No, I'm putting on my own social cues that override your fucking social cues. I don't care, okay? Okay? I'm trumping your cues. A reverse Uno card. I got a reverse Uno card, okay? So I don't know where I'm going with this. So polymaths can navigate through pretty much any situation if they want. I don't know, like Columbus, he was probably a polymath. I don't know, seems like a type of guy who could get you from point A to point B in an adventure-like situation where things could go out of hand. They make good adventurers. They wear many hats. Elon Musk, he claims to be a polymath. He's not. He's just autistic and high IQ. That's not a polymath. He's just autistic. He's high IQ. He's not a polymath. Polymaths cannot just do one type of thing like he can. He's only good at fucking engineering. That's it. He's good at solving complex systems, finding inefficiencies in complex systems. Okay, he has some intermodal talents, but he's missing the whole fucking right side of the hemisphere. He's missing all the social stuff, the jokey stuff. He has absolutely zero ability to do anything creative. As far as I'm concerned, what has he done that's creative? He's forward thinking. That's what engineers are good at. That's not necessarily creative. That's not using the right side of your brain. Can he play a song well? Can he do anything musical whatsoever? If not, I hate this. He's not a fucking polymath. Not to gatekeep polymathery. I don't know. I haven't met that many of them. He seems like he is one of them. But you kind of have to be able to play music. I don't know. I just feel like that's a pretty big prerequisite of polymathery. You can't just be good at left side brain hemisphere bullshit. You have to also be good at navigating to the other side to call yourself a true polymath. You have to be good at math and polysex. Polyamory or something. No, that's stupid. You have to be good at math and art to be a true polymath. Like Leonardo da Vinci, that's a polymath. Ben Franklin, somebody that could do art and science. Yeah, you don't see a lot of those, do ya? Now I'm getting pissed off again. You don't. It's usually one or the other. So that's the thing that I would say is important to define somebody as a polymath. Somebody that's good at music and algebra and or programming. Like, they have no issue with emotional intelligence and math. Yeah, that's rare. It's rare for you to meet somebody who's really good at math, who understands quantum physics and programming, who could do AI level programming and knows how to knows how to write a bass line, not just reproduce a bass line, write a bass line. Jesus Christ, why am I so angry? I am fucking just like letting out all this pent up energy of rage, of like just like self-righteous anger of like, but where's it come? I'm not angry at anybody. I'm fine. I guess it's just pent up. It's just like nobody's like giving me props. I guess I haven't won any Nobel Prizes. That would shut me up for a few minutes. I already kind of feel like I won one. I already have Nobelitis, so it doesn't even fucking matter, dog. All that would do is just make my head would explode with narcissism. If I actually got real so that's why the universe is protecting me by not giving me any recognition. That's how it's because if I did get any recognition, even a little bit, I would just die of like an orgasm. I would just die of self-involved. What's the word? It's just like there's no word for it. It's bliss. I would just die of self-involvement, which causes like this chain reaction. And I would have like a seizure until I died. I would just be found in a puddle of my own piss. The second I get recognized. So it's probably a good thing. So thank you, universe. That's where the universe is at. That's where the universe is, out that window. It's actually just as much here as it is out there, but I think of the universe as out there. So I'm very religious. I'm a very religious person. And here's a funny thing. I'll end on this. So women are into astrology. I'm into not astrology, but I have my own version of what could be interpreted as a form of astrology. So I'm not going to talk about it because it's boring. But I say it's interesting that in a roundabout way, I just became such a toxic male that it's like I made a full 180. It's like I went so down the rabbit hole of intellectualism that it proved that there actually is some truth to the bullshit that women believe. Isn't that fucking nut? I went so deep down the rabbit hole of something that only a fucking loser man could go down into. Such a deranged fucking... You have to be like so uncensored with your thoughts to have gone into this depths of the journey that I went down of racial realism. Starting there and then going 90 miles down that road past that sign, past that, to get to where I believe that there's some truth to astrology. Yeah, turns out there actually was a light at the end of the racist tunnel of 4chan. If you go deep enough past 4chan, you can't just get stuck on 4chan. That's where they want you to go. That's what they want to have happen. You just get stuck in that honeypot and you think you found your people. No, I went even deeper. I knew that these guys were just lunatics. They weren't going deep enough. They had no empathy. Now, you got to use empathy and schizophrenia. And then you keep going and you find out actually all of it's true. Racial realism and horoscopes. So it puts me in a weird spot because I used to be not invited to like be a guest on The View. They didn't like the racial realism stuff, like the Milo Yiannopoulos type stuff. But now that I figured out stuff about like women being stuff that they're into, being like very scientifically true, all of a sudden I'm like a very desirable person to be around. If you have a pussy. But I wasn't trying to do that. I was just trying to learn if these guys on 4chan knew what they were talking about. They didn't know what they were talking about. So I'm a truth bearer. That means that unabashedly and unapologetically, I tell you what's true. I mean, hey, not sure what to tell you there. Can't really apologize for something that you aren't doing offensively. You're not doing it to hurt anybody. It's just kind of like it was bequeathed upon you. It's like the Raven in Game of Thrones. He didn't choose to be the Raven. He just wanted to climb off a stupid thing. That's his whole character arc. He's just climbing into a window and saw these fucking narcissists having sex. And so they try to kill him. Some asshole tries to murder this boy. And I has to be the Raven for the rest of his life. Yeah, that's what happened to me. So don't take it as like an affront that I just am sharing things about It's not like an opinion. It's just like, okay, I here it is. It's just like I'm passing along the data as like it's my responsibility. It's not my job. I'm not getting paid. It's different than that. It's what you do when you don't have a job. I don't want a job. So I'm doing this as a job. At least I have a job. Some people just don't even have a job, yet they think they know about reality. Say, so is that your job? Oh, you're telling me how shit works? And it's not even your job. See, this is my job. So you could trust me because it's my job. Not just some asshole off the street. It's my job to know about this shit, about reality. Yeah, the whole thing. Yeah, it sounds very pedant. It sounds very, I don't know what the word, it sounds arrogant and hubris. It sounds like you have a lot of hubris and arrogance to think that you just know about reality. It's like, yeah, that's what science, that's what being, I don't know, I guess there's no, it's just, sorry. That's what I happen to be interested in is just reality, not any particular subject in it. The thing, the whole thing. You're allowed to be interested in that. The problem is most people aren't smart enough to, they're just, it's not their cup of tea, or what's the word? It's not their forte. It kind of has to be your forte to make conclusions about reality. You kind of have to be able to see things holistically. Holistic thinking. I don't want to talk about it. That's another curse. It's another subject. But to be a holistic thinker, right brain thinker, it's a curse. As much as it is a talent. I wouldn't trade it to be left-brained. Fuck that. I mean, fuck that. But to be right-brained means you probably aren't going to be able to communicate with other people. Most of the time, you're going to feel very lonely, isolated, even if you're around people. You have to be around like geniuses, literal geniuses to even feel alive. Or just bomb on stage at comedy, you'll feel alive. there's ways to feel alive without, in like a bad way. But if you want to feel alive in a good way, as a polymath or with a right brain, hemisphere dominant personality, perception, you need to be around people that are very much the top of the class. Because you're gifted. You're gifted in a way that other people cannot soothe. You have this itch. And the only way to soothe it is to outdo yourself repeatedly until you do give something of value to the world. And then you go, thank God, it was worth it. Sometimes it doesn't happen. For Vincent, what is his name? Vincent van Gogh. He died before he ever became famous. It doesn't always work out if you're like a genius who just sees things in a different way, holistically. He was a genius in every sense of the word, but that doesn't mean other people are going to know about it in his small city and town, wherever he lived. You need to be exposed to, like, it takes genius to see genius. So if you're the only one in the town, you're going to feel invalidated, and it's going to suck because you're going to know that you're a genius, and you're going to see that other people have something that you don't, that's the painful part, I imagine, if you're Vincent van Gogh, because you know that you're gifted. You're the only one creating these pieces of work. Nobody else is doing this. They lack something you have, and you could see it, but they can't. So that's the loneliness that he was talking about. If you are interested to know what he was talking about, he was actually a very well-spoken guy and wrote a lot about how he thought about the world, and like it shows that he had a different way of thinking. Nothing wrong with the way he thought. It was just a lot more advanced and holistic than others. He was a lot more gifted in the way of perception and holistic meaning making. So we'll end it there. This is very technical and exhausting and meaningless, and to be honest, because it's like too niche to be. It's like not part of any established niche, so I was gonna get like 0 views. So I'm stoked to get that amount of attention and recognition for all the great, for some of the stuff that I'm doing that's very hard to come up with. It feels great to be recognized by the lack of whatever. I don't care. I've been doing this for fucking 3 years. I certainly don't expect anyone to give a crap about this, yet it is important for me to keep doing this. So this has been episode 111. Have a good rest of the week. Peace and love in the Middle East and the Middle West and the West End.